Hello everyone, this is Peg. I'm going to talk about planned happenstance theory today. Another one of the theories that I like to present to students so they get an idea of what research has been done and what people's thinking might be based on that research. So this theory has been developed by John Krumboltz, Kathleen Mitchell, Al Levin, and Krumboltz in particular is the name I see associated with planned happenstance theory most often. So the background of planned happenstance is its additional idea to go with career planning. The traditional career planning, pretty much like what we've done in class so far, it's generally considered to be kind of a simple, logical, linear process where you describe your skills, what you've learned throughout your life and in workplaces, those skills. You explore your interests, whether they be in producing handcrafted work or working with wood or metal or healthcare or education, right? And then you match them up with a career, a named career that you can identify that has a job description. And then you complete whatever additional training or education you might need and go and get that job. And this is a process that was developed way back in the 1890s when people were coming off of the farm and going into the city, and the jobs were very different than what their experience had been. And this was a process that was developed to handle those workers, of which came in great numbers. And right along, pretty much every career counselor knew that chance and luck played into the whole picture, but there wasn't really a good way to talk about it and make sense of it to the people they were working with. So that's changed with planned happenstance theory. They're finally incorporating chance into the whole picture and describing how we can use it and take advantage of it. So the term planned happenstance was an intentional oxymoron. An oxymoron is a English figure of speech where you put two words together that really mean the opposite of each other. But it does make sense in terms of naming the theory. And if we break it apart, we can see that. The planned part is what we decide to do, how we arrange that. The happen is the part that is occurring by chance. It's unforeseen. And stance is the view or attitude, which in this case is an attitude of openness, of flexibility to new opportunities. So I wanted to, before we get into some of the details of this theory, just give an example from real life, in this case my life, so you can kind of see how the planning and the chance is working together to getting a career. In my instance, I'm talking about my current job, college transitions coordinator. And prior to this job, I had done quite a few different jobs. I had accumulated quite a large amount of computer skills, office skills, and business skills. And so when I came to Maine, I did get a job as administrative assistant in an adult education program. It wasn't particularly a well-paying job, and it was part-time. So while I was doing it, I thought to myself, why not get some education? And I chose the business sector because that's where I had the most experience. So I did plan that. I planned to go to college, I planned to get a degree, and then I planned to get a high-paying job in the business world. So 5 years later, right, I got my Bachelor's of Science in Business Management, and I went out and I did find a better paying job in the business world and left my educational sector, my adult education work behind. Well, unfortunately, this new place of work I found didn't fit. I didn't fit, and it didn't fit with me. And I tried some other businesses and was getting fairly unsuccessful in getting a new job. And so, and then out of the blue, right, by chance, I get an email from my former manager in adult ed telling me about this newly created job of college transitions coordinator for Knox County. And it sounded good, and so I kind of took a look at the job description, and I had a few things. I had my adult ed experience. I had a bachelor's degree, which was needed, and I had recently been through college. And so I'm figuring, well, I've had the experience. I know what people need to be a successful college student, so um, I'll throw my hat in the ring. So there's a lot of chance to this whole opportunity that came to me. First, I would never have found the job if I hadn't gotten the email because it wasn't listed where the normal jobs are listed. It was on this school job website that I didn't even know about. So that was all chance. And then the other big factor in this whole in this job opportunity was that this job was brand new. It was something that had just been created. It didn't exist before. So that's a pretty lucky occurrence in and of itself. So there was the opportunity. It was a bit of a risk for me because it was an educational field, not business that I was trained in. But I took the risk, I applied, and here I am today, and I'm enjoying it. It's the pay is good, the hours are good, and I really enjoy the work. So it sounds kind of like, oh, that's fantastic, but it's not that unusual. Most people agree when they're asked that chance or luck did play a part in the career they landed in. And we also know that the future is unpredictable. No one can tell what's going to happen with any accuracy. So basically, we need to be ready for these unexpected opportunities. And I just wanted to give you kind of a real life portrayal of how that might unfold. We also have the job market today, which is quite a bit different than the job market up until the 1950s, say. Technology is playing a huge part in disrupting people's careers, global events, new trade agreements. All along, you can see where the traditional jobs that people have held are changing. The robots are now building cars instead of people. Steel production that employed tons of people, they've moved over to Japan and China. So we see that all the time. And it's really necessary to keep up your skills, right? What's needed today might not be needed tomorrow, but computer skills are definitely needed now, and they weren't needed 20 years ago. I went recently to the Department of Labor website. The young person today can expect to hold 10 to 12 different jobs in their lifetime. 10 to 12. So we need to plan for new opportunities. So how does planned happenstance help with this? Well, it's describing a scene where the planned events are inevitable, but they're also desirable. New things can come into our lives, and it's not passively waiting for someone to knock on the door, something to drop into our laps. That's not planned happenstance, and it's not likely to occur either. We have to kind of plan and position ourselves for the new opportunities, and we do that by taking on new responsibilities at work in our communities, learning new things, and taking some risks. The skills we develop by doing these things will enable us to seize the opportunities when they are created. So how do we find new opportunities? The best way is networking, expanding the number of people you know. So build relationships within your place of work. Talk to people in other departments. Talk to the people that come in and clean. Talk to the managers. Have conversations with the CEOs if it's possible, right? You can also investigate other workplaces that sound interesting to you. Look them up online, read about them, see what they're doing. There might be that the skills that you have in your healthcare facility would translate to a doctor's office, would translate to long-term care would translate to maybe a residential setting. People in the business sector, they might want to move to one that has a different business. I mean, the skills are going to translate, but there's a different business that relates more to what you're interested in. You also want to keep an eye on the new developments in your area. Athena Healthcare came to Belfast. That was a really big new development, and people have been taking their degrees and moving up there and putting them to good use at a larger business. Or there might be a small company that moves in and you're thinking, well, I know computer science. Maybe I'll go talk to them and see if they need some help networking their computers. I know, for instance, is a gentleman I know. He went to this dental office and discovered they were having trouble with their printers and networking their computers. He's very good at this. He became their IT guy. He learned about how the dental offices, what kind of programs they were running, what kind of things they needed to do, and it actually expanded his computer assistance to other dental offices and built a business. These things are not planned, but you can plan for them. And it's the exploration that generates the chance opportunities, and they in turn can increase your quality of life. You get paid better, maybe you get a job that working less hours for the same pay, so you have more time with your family. Maybe it's just something you enjoy more. And when they do research, they survey people, ask them how they found their new opportunities. They most frequently cite professional or personal connections leading to this, unexpected advancements in their place of work, or just being in the right place at the right time. But even the unexpected advancement, you want to be ready, right? When someone says, hey, do you want to manage this new area over here? You want to feel like you've gotten a little bit under your belt, that you're ready to take on that advancement. So there's 5 skills that we can develop that Planned Happenstance advises us to develop to create opportunities for ourselves. Curiosity, right? Exploring those new learning opportunities, exploring what else is going on in the world around us. Persistence is a big one, exerting effort despite the setbacks. That's something everybody in College Next is doing. You're experiencing setbacks. Perhaps you were sick one week, right, and couldn't attend class, or financial setbacks, or setbacks with having to leave class early because your kids needed you. Or it could be a setback, just academic setback, all sorts of ones. But the persistence is what's needed. And if you have that, then you can overcome the setbacks and keep on moving. Flexibility, changing your attitudes and circumstances and being okay with it, right? It gets back to the fixed and growth mindset kind of factors of being able to have change happen, being okay with it, and that flexibility allows you to create opportunities and then in turn take advantage when they do appear. Optimism is another one. It's kind of a skill to be developed, viewing new opportunities as not only possible but attainable. So there are people that have the attitude like nothing good will ever come to me, right? But that's not going to help you create a new opportunity. An optimistic attitude will, however. And then risk-taking. Once this new opportunity comes, are we willing to take action? We don't know what the outcome's going to be, right? So are we willing in that kind of uncertainty to take a risk, try out a new opportunity, and extend ourselves, right? Extend ourselves out. So there's some practical ways that we can initiate new opportunities. First one is informational interviews. Everyone's doing one of those in this class. They're usually career exploration assignments to see if you like the career you're thinking of, but they can also offer unexpected avenues to unemployment. You might meet the head of the company and have a conversation, and they're impressed with you because you're telling them about what you're doing as far as education. Or it might be the person the supervisor you're interviewing is called to the floor, the production floor. They need to attend to some emergency, and you say, "Well, can I go along with you?" Right? You're showing interest, and perhaps you can even offer some insights and help them in some way in that particular scenario they're dealing with. Internships is a really great way to create new opportunities. They mostly begin as unpaid work but can lead to employment. In college, some degree programs require an internship before you graduate. I believe computer science does. And other ones like the business degree you can do an internship, earn 3 credits for that internship, and get experience like hopefully in a place of work that you're interested in. I know 2 people that did internships at Dream Local, which is a local social media marketing firm, and both of them are employed there based on their internships showing what they could do right then, and how they could take on responsibilities, how they could deal with what the company needed. So that's an excellent way to see if you like the place of work and also hopefully get offered a job after you get your degree. Volunteer work is another possibility. Getting set up to go into it could be a nonprofit organization. It could be I mean, even animal shelters. It could be any place that you enjoy working. You can start by working as a volunteer, and then if a job happens to arise and it's something that you want, the folks in that organization already know you. They know you're responsible. They know you're punctual. They know what your level of abilities is. And that's another way to network also. You might meet people in that volunteer work that would network to another place of work. So you're working with people of similar interest. And another aspect of planned happenstance that I want to make sure we cover is kind of the way we can reframe indecision about careers. Traditional career planners viewed indecision as a problem to solve as quickly as possible to get that person moving on to their place of employment. And some people do come in to college next knowing what they want to do. And that's great because it's very motivating once you know what your career is and know what your steps are to keep working through them. But not everyone starts college with a career plan. Not everyone who is working in a job is sure that that's what they want to do. And I'm not sure if that's more or less common than knowing what you want to do. But in any case, planned happenstance reframes indecisiveness as open-mindedness. Most people think of indecisiveness as being wishy-washy or flip-flopping. But if we view it as open-mindedness or an exploring attitude that's completely normal, then that's going to help us. It's going to encourage us to look further and take on, be flexible about what we might consider as a career that we would want to do. And when you think of it, it makes a lot more sense to take time about our long-range planning than to be pressured into a quick fix decision. The whole deciding on a career, doing 4 or 5 years of college education, and then looking for a job after that, there's a lot of planning and effort involved. So we want to have some sense that our feeling about it is strong, it's motivated, it's settled. And so planned happenstance is basically encouraging people to be comfortable if they're undecided, be comfortable with a lengthy career planning process and not try to rush. So let's just summarize the process that planned happenstance puts forth as a way to approach career planning. And the first one is clarify your ideas. Follow your curiosity, follow your interest, get clarity about what you want to do and your feelings about it. There's some emotional content that if you feel attached to moving forward with a career, it's really going to be a motivator. Then remove any blocks you have. There's a lot of times we say, I can't do this because I don't have money. I can't do it because I don't have time. I can't do this because my Acuplacer score in math was too low, right? Instead of saying I can't do it, reframe it. Ask yourself, how can I do this? How can I get the money? How can I make time? So remove your blocks to whatever you've put in between you and your career goals. Then you want to plan for the unexpected. We've been talking about that a lot. Plan for that chance encounter. Plan for that impromptu conversation you have with somebody at your place of work describing a new opportunity. Plan for that out of the blue call or email coming from someone you know. And you do that by taking action on learning new skills, remaining open, and following up on those chance events that come your way. Often I've heard people talk about things that that have been mentioned to them, but they didn't follow up, right? They let them get old, and that was pretty much the end. So that ties up what I want to talk about in terms of the planned happenstance theory. And I hope it was interesting to all of you as just another element to how we can go about changing jobs or planning for our new careers. And so the discussion board prompt is the follow-up assignment on this. So for the next class, by the next class, I'd want you to go to the discussion board on Blackboard and answer the prompt there, which is basically saying, does this theory make sense to you? Can it be applied to your experience, to your career, to your educational exploration? And whichever side you take, whether it makes sense or it doesn't make sense, just support it with evidence from your own experience, things you've heard or you've experienced yourself. And then hopefully you do this pretty quickly, in the next couple of days, and that will allow you to go back and other students to go back and read each other's postings and then comment on them. You can just reply to the observations that other people have put up, and you can ask questions. You can just comment on what they've put up there. So do that also. It's a two-step process. Submit your own, then comment on a couple of other students' observations. So have a good week, and see you in class next week, and answer any more questions you have about it at that point. Thank you very much.